Welcome to the Friday episode of Arch City Sports. The Cardinals just had their worst loss of the season. Before we get started, make sure to like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Follow and rate the podcast if you're on Spotify. Helps get us around quicker. We'd really appreciate that. Thank you for 2,000 followers on Instagram and almost 2,000 on TikTok already. So make sure to go follow on Instagram and TikTok if you have not already. Today we're going to talk about the Cardinals versus Cubs Game 1. It was a great game until the very end. Just tore our hearts out at the end there. We're going to take a look into the pipeline with Memphis, Springfield, Peoria, and Palm Beach all in action this evening. But let's start with the St. Louis Cardinals. A 10-1 win on Wednesday afternoon where a big series win versus the Rangers. Michael McGreevy looked great, giving us 7 innings, giving up 1 run. Going deep in that one, helping our bullpen stay rested. Thursday night, we had Sonny Gray, who has had his rough outings recently. Five starts. In his last 5 starts, 4 of the 5, he gave up 5 or more runs. His July ERA was over 6. I mean, just a really rough stretch for Sonny Gray, who's supposed to be your ace. And if he pitches like that or anywhere close to that, we're not going to be in a good position whatsoever. So a new month, a new chance, another chance, I should say, for him to bounce back in this one. And he did. He really did. In the second inning, he gave up a run, and then he gave up a homer, a big-time homer to Suzuki in the 6th inning. But besides that, Sonny Gray was great tonight. The sweeper was working phenomenally. He was very efficient with his pitches, giving up only 1 walk. That was the Dansby Swanson, which was about a 10-pitch at bat. Sonny Gray gave us 7 innings, giving up 2 runs, striking out 9. Like I said, giving up that 1 homer to Suzuki. 93 pitches. That brings his ERA down to 3.72 on the season. We saw a very fresh JoJo Romero after him in the 8th inning, striking out 2, 1, 2, 3, 8th inning, his 27th hold of the season, bringing his ERA down to 2.44. And before I get into Helsley's performance, let's take a look at the offense. Because going into this one, based off the names of Shota Imanaga and Sonny Gray, you would think it would be a showdown, and it was. Both guys have not pitched as well as they did earlier in the season, but both guys showed up in this one. Like I said, Sonny Gray going 7 innings, giving up only 2 runs. Shota Imanaga went 6 2/3. He ended up giving up 4, but he was dealing, and his splitter fastball combination was absolutely deadly. It just falls off the table. His splitter does. Alec Burleson got the day off. We had Mason Wynn at the top of the order. He had a clutch 2-run homer in the 7th inning in a 2-1 ball game to make it 3-2. He had 2 hits on the night after his first 2 at-bats, not looking good at all versus Imanaga. Contreras goes 0 for 5, but the biggest storyline of the entire game for me, win or loss, was Paul Goldschmidt looked like MVP Paul Goldschmidt in this one. And I hope this is just a sign of what's to come from Paul the rest of this season. He went 3 for 5, his first at-bat going to left center field with a homer. Even his last out in the 8th inning, drilled it. 98 miles per hour fastball, top of the zone, drilled it to center field, to their center fielder for an out. He went 3 for 5, like I said, with a homer and an RBI and also 2 runs. Nolan Arenado, another multi-hit game. He had 2 hits in this one, including a clutch RBI single at the time to make it a 4-2 game. Tommy Pham stays red hot as well, giving us 2 hits, another multi-hit game by him. Brendan Donovan was a guy that kind of looked lost with the Imanaga splitter this evening. Now you have to kind of make your decision. Brendan Donovan or Nolan Gorman at second base. Both guys are lefties. Obviously, when it comes to plate discipline and making contact, you're going to take the Brendan Donovan route, which I completely agree with. Just did not look very good tonight, going 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Lars Nootbaar had 1 single on the night. He went 1 for 4. Another guy that looked very lost tonight was Pedro Pajes. Now, I'm not expecting huge offensive numbers out of him. I think all the production that he has been giving us is a huge plus right now. But he's now down to 228, his average, which, again, I don't really care as long as he's catching well behind the plate. But he did go 0 for 4 tonight with 2 strikeouts, and he probably swung and missed on 6 Imanaga splitters tonight. I mean, he just looked completely lost. One guy that's not looking lost at all, though, right now, and it's been a very pleasant surprise. His progression all year long is Michael Ciani, going 2 for 4 tonight. That is now an 11-game hitting streak for Siani, and he's now batting 258 on the season. I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning of the year. Going into the season, yes, we had no expectations for Siani to even potentially even make the roster, let alone be our starting center fielder past game 100 in the season, but also bat almost 260 now. Now, that average may fall off by the end of the year, but as of right now, Michael Siani has, you can tell he's confident, and he's been a huge surprise and a huge reason why Tommy Edman was traded, and can't say enough praises for Michael Siani. But it was a 4-2 game. I felt very confident. You saw a lot of guys smiling and fist pumps going around, and you kind of felt really, really good about where you were at. And you start the 9th inning with Ryan Helsley, who's fresh. He's only pitched 5 games in the last 25 days, and he gets the first 2 guys out. And then Cody Bellinger drills a homer into center field. Nico Horner, first pitch fastball, 100 miles per hour, single into center field. Then he steals second base. We challenge it. It looked pretty clearly safe to me, but no point in holding your challenge there. Might as well use it. So yeah, Horner steals second base, and then Dansby Swanson, another really tough at bat where Helsley had 2 strikes on him, was 1 strike away from winning this game for us. And a slider away, and Dansby turned on it, drilled it to left field, stretched it out for a double. I didn't love his celebration at second base. I thought it was kind of cringy personally, but he's fired up. He's fired up. Tied it for him. Mike Toffman comes up to the plate. Both him and Toffman and Swanson both had really good numbers off Helsley, believe it or not. And Toffman at the plate, I believe he was 2 for 3 in his career against Helsley. Another really good at bat. Comes down to 2 strikes. We have our chance to close it out, and he takes the pitch the other way into the corner, and Swanson comes around to score. So a tough, very tough 5-4 loss, and you can make a case. It's one of the worst losses, if not the worst loss of the season. It's kind of a weird spot to be in because we had all the vibes kind of high these last couple of days with Tommy Pham returning and his grand slam, Paul Goldschmidt's walk-off homer a few days before that. You kind of felt we were going in a really positive direction. Even tonight, Sonny Gray pitching well, the offense doing enough, and then you get a chance in the 9th inning in a 4-2 ball game, and you have your all-star closer who was 33 for 35 in save opportunities come in, and he blows it. And he gives up 3 runs in the 9th. And some of Helsley's saves this year have not been the prettiest, but a performance like this tonight was very unlike him, especially for him having so much rest. I watched JoJo pitch the 8th inning, and I was already preparing for what clip I was going to, or what segment I was going to say in this podcast about look how good our relievers look when they're fresh. Like JoJo did in the 8th inning, 11-pitch inning, like I said. Struck out the first 2 guys, got a line out to Arenado to end that inning. Helsley gets the first 2 guys out, but he ends up giving up 4 hits, giving up 3 runs, the homer to Cody Bellinger. And I think the game changer in this game, and I thought it was going to be to our advantage, was the Dansby Swanson at bat. I believe in the 7th inning. It was like a 10-pitch at bat leading to, Sonny Gray was doing everything he could, threw everything at him and couldn't get him out, leading to a Dansby Swanson walk. A couple pitches later, ended up, I was thinking at the time, maybe Sonny doesn't even finish this inning. He was creeping up on 90 pitches. The next guy grounded into a double play right back to Sonny, and it kind of all worked out, and Sonny got us through 7 innings. But that Dansby Swanson at bat, it gave him a sense of confidence. It really did. You could tell in his body language. He was kind of fired up, and then you go into the 9th inning, and he was kind of the last guy I wanted at the plate. I believe he was 3 for 6 with a homer in his career against Ryan Helsley. I believe Chip said that right before the at bat. And he turned on that one into left field, stretched out for a double, and I don't know. I just had a very bad feeling right when Nico Horner stole second base. That's when I had a really bad feeling. The Cody Bellinger homer was kind of whatever to me. The Nico Horner single still wasn't too scared about what was about to happen, not too worried. And then right when he stole second base, and I saw he was clearly safe, and Dansby's coming up, and then I heard the numbers that Dansby has against Ryan Helsley. I wasn't feeling very good. And then we had 2 strikes, but just could not close it out. So a very tough loss this evening. And you can't put the blame on anybody. You can't put the blame on any of our offensive players. You can't put the blame on Ollie. You can't put the blame on Mo. Nobody gets the blame tonight besides Ryan Helsley. And Ryan Helsley is an all-star closer and one of my favorite players. I've been riding high on Ryan Helsley for the last few years, even coming up through the minors. I thought he had closer potential, and he's been lights out 99% of the time this year. Just tonight was not his night, and so he's the one that has to wear this one. You could tell he had some look of defeat walking off the field, obviously, and it was a tough one, very tough one for him, tough one for us, and I would not be surprised if he finds his way in a close game back out there tomorrow, because you have to try to wipe this one out of memory and show that your confidence in him as a skipper to put him back out there if it is a close one tomorrow. With Eric Fetty making his Cardinal debut as well on the Friday matinee afternoon game. But again, tough loss tonight. Sonny Gray looked great. That was a really positive sign. I always like to take positive notes even after a tough game like this. Sonny Gray going 7 innings, giving up 2 runs, looked much more like an ace that you're going to need down the stretch here. And Paul Goldschmidt going 3 for 5 with a homer. Those are 2 big positives you can take out of this. A fresh JoJo Romero in the 8th inning is another positive. Arenado, another couple hits in this one. Tommy Pham looked good. Mason Wynn, a clutch homer. A lot of things were great. And honestly, like, our offense had their chances. We probably could have scored more than 4, but we had 12 hits. We did leave 8 guys on base. Wilson Contreras going 0 for 5. Would have liked a little production there. Same thing with Brendan Donovan, but up and down the order. I mean, Donovan and Pajes were the only guys that looked completely lost tonight at the plate. Everybody was putting up good at-bats, and you scored 4 runs on a top 3 Rookie of the Year candidate in Shota Imanaga, who's also an all-star this year. And so you get 7 innings out of Sonny Gray, giving up 2 runs. You get 4 runs off Imanaga. Going into the 8th and 9th with JoJo and Helsley, this is one of our very few losses, if not the first one all year, late in the game where we have a lead going into the 9th inning. JoJo and Helsley have been so locked down for us all year long. But again, got to wipe this one out because we have a quick turnaround tomorrow with Eric Fetty on the mound. Let me double check who they have on the mound. They said it during the broadcast. We got Eric Fetty. They have Assad, and we've hit Assad okay in the past. We've got some guys that have good numbers against him. Lars Newbar has good numbers against him. So I do like our chances in that one. Hopefully Fetty can give us a good performance on his first game in the middle of this rivalry as well. But we are now 56 and 53 on the season. Let's take a look into the pipeline where we did have some success tonight in the minors. Starting with Memphis. In the 8th inning, it was 6-2, and we were losing, and I kind of flipped that game off because I thought it was over. I checked back the box score about an hour later, and apparently Memphis wins this one 9-6. We are now 51 and 54 on the season. Steven Matz, remember that name? Steven Matz started this one, giving us 2 innings, striking out 2. The first inning, he looked very, very good. The second inning, he did give up a solo homer to a guy that had 5 homers in his last 9 at bats. So I don't really put a lot of blame on Steven for that one. But overall, he looked good. 2 innings, 1 run, 2 strikeouts, about 26 pitches or so. Alex Cornwell came in, ate up some innings after that, gave up a few early, but stretched us out the rest of the game. Ryan Ludis gets his 11th save of the year, but offensively, Jordan Walker with another hit. He had a couple hits the other night as well. Victor Scotts looks really good as of late. 2 hits in this one, including a double. And Matt Koperniak is the best-looking minor league player there is right now. 5 for 5. He had 3 hits last night, 5 for 5 in this one. He is now batting .315 on the season. I have to, you have to try to find a spot for him up here. Our outfield is so deep with guys that need plate appearances. I just don't know what that opportunity looks like for him. Especially, DH is a tough spot too when you have Burleson and Gorman, and Carpenter's been swinging a good bat. So it's really hard to see where Matt Koperniak's going to fit up here for us. But as of right now, I think when September comes around in about 4 weeks, The rosters expand by 2 guys. I think he has to be the number 1 guy that comes up, and then you probably add a Riley O'Brien or a Ryan Ludus or a Chris Roycroft as well as the other reliever. But I think Matt Koperniak deserves the spot even over Victor Scott, who's looked really, really good lately. And then you look at Springfield. Springfield is still playing as of right now. It was 8-5 in the 8th inning last I checked. We were winning, so hopefully you would think we would pull that one out. Peoria with a very tough loss tonight. We are now 42-56 on the season, a 15-5 loss. But there was a huge takeaway from this, and that is, ever since Chase Davis was called up from Palm Beach, he has been raking at the high A level. His first homer at the high A level tonight, along with 3 RBIs. And in his 4 games now in Peoria, he is batting .385. So a guy that, obviously a first-round pick, goes to low A, wasn't producing a whole lot, had a little bit of pop, I believe 8 homers, drove in some runs, but the average was down low, to now going to high A, and he's absolutely dominating at that level. And he's a guy that, if you haven't seen clips on him, he looks just like Carlos Gonzalez in his prime. I mean, that swing looks just like it, kind of a Robinson Cano type swing as well. Really smooth lefty with a lot of potential, another lefty outfielder, but a lot of potential. And it's really good to see him have success early on in Peoria. Hopefully he can sustain that moving forward. And last but not least, Palm Beach, low A, a 5-2 win, 58-39 now on the season. J.J. Weatherholt batted 3rd in the lineup again. He went 0 for 3 with a walk and a run. Like I said, 5-2 win. Chen Wei Lin, a 6'7", 190-pound starting pitcher for us down there. Gave us 7 innings, giving up only 3 hits, no runs, 7 strikeouts. He now has a 3.24 ERA on the season. Palm Beach and Peoria has some arms. That's not even talking about Double A with Tink Hens and Quinn Matthews and Cooper Jerpy. We're talking Chen Wei Lin, a very good performance tonight. Jason Savakul pitched really well last night or the night before. Saladin had a really good performance at Peoria a couple nights ago. There's some arms down there to keep an eye on moving forward here. But like I said, 3.24 ERA now for the 6'7" starting pitcher there in Palm Beach for us. But last but not least here, Ian Patrutz. Ian Patrutz is going to join the podcast next week, so be on the lookout for that. He has had a scorching hot start in Palm Beach, batting in that 5-hole this evening, going 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs. He's now batting over 600 in his 3 games down there. John Gazdar, Bryce Madron, a couple of those other guys did not get to play in this one, and we still have not seen the debut of Nolan Sparks. But Ian Patrutz has looked like the best rookie in these first 3 games, the 12th round pick out of Alabama. But we will be hearing his whole story and kind of talk about his early success here next week on the podcast. But everybody have a great weekend. Watch the Cardinals hopefully win these next 3 versus the Cubs. We also have a Monday makeup game versus the Mets, so make sure to tune in to all of those. I will see you guys on Monday. I will see you guys in many clips throughout the weekend, but I will see you guys on this podcast on Monday where we recap the Chicago Cubs series. Hopefully a series win for the Cardinals. We need to turn it around after a very tough loss this evening. But make sure to like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Follow and rate if you are on Spotify or Amazon Music. We would really appreciate that. And of course, go follow on Instagram and TikTok for daily St. Louis sports videos and content. And I will see you guys on Monday.